At least 8 people have been killed in fresh Saudi airstrikes in Yemen's Hajjah province. Saudi warplanes carried out several airstrikes on a residential area in Abs district. Saudi jets also targeted the international airport in the southern port city of Aden. Saudi forces had earlier carried out air raids on Aden's Khur Maksar region. Separately, 3 different towns were targeted in the northwestern Saada province. Riyadh has been carrying out daily attacks on the impoverished nation for nearly 3 months now. The death toll from the invasion stands at nearly 4,400 people, many of them civilians. The attacks continue despite calls by the United Nations for a ceasefire during the holy month of Ramadan. Well, to discuss that further, we're now joined by Dr. Saib Shah, who is an author and Middle East expert, and he's joining us live now via Skype from Belfast. Now, Dr. Shah, we are in Ramadan, and the UN had called for a ceasefire, but it seems the Saudis are continuing these airstrikes. And how do you feel about that?
I feel the United Nations in here is playing a pathetic role, and it's serving the interest of the wealthiest Arab nation who tried to impose its will against the poorest Arab nation, which is Yemen. And we noticed that in the late failing Geneva talks, when the Saudis used the United Nations to try to pressurize the Sana'a delegates in there. The Saudis find themselves in a very hard position now, since the people of Yemen are defiant, they are resilient, and they are continuing to resist the Saudis' aggression. And the Saudis, they're using this vicious aggression and war machines against Yemeni to try to impose on the people of Yemen more miseries so they can surrender. And if we notice, just over 40 hospitals have been destroyed, and nearly triple that of medical centers. As United Nations reports were saying, food supplies very hard to get through. The infrastructures of Yemen, civil infrastructure is hardly existing anymore. There is over 15 million of the people cannot access any kind of health services. Over 20 million, according to the United Nations reports this, they don't have access to water. Myself, I see this war, once again I repeat that this war is a product of the unholy alliance between the Saudis and the Israelis. All signs betray that. If we see the style of the execution of this war in Yemen, from the blockade to the siege to the targeting of the civilian infrastructure, to try to attack the civilians anywhere, to mount pressures on the resisting forces to the aggression. Again, another point is the similarities with which is the Israelis hit Qaysun mountain in Syria with tactical nukes or neutron bombs. The same thing was delivered on Yemen, and these kind of capabilities, war capabilities, the Saudis don't have that kind of capacity to deliver such strategic weapons. So this is a war executed by the Saudis and the Israelis, and led, I think, by Israeli generals who are executing this for the Saudis. And the Saudis now trying everywhere, even going to Moscow to try to find a kind of face-saving way out of this war.
Okay, well, we'll leave it at that. But as always, Dr. Shah, we appreciate your insight. That was Dr. Saib Shah, who was speaking to us live from Belfast.